Space is big, really big, and sometimes even the most experienced space travelers make wrong turns. Take Zilpha, a spirited young explorer from the Andromeda Galaxy, on a mission to chart uncharted nebulae. Her spaceship, Stardust, was equipped with the latest in interstellar technology, at least it was supposed to be. Zilpha punched in the coordinates for the next jump point. Suddenly, alarms blared and the ship lurched violently. This time, her unscheduled detour was to a little blue planet called Earth. Meanwhile, on the other side of the woods lived a man named Arthur. Arthur wasn't your typical spacefaring hero. He enjoyed a good cuppa, a good book, and the peace and quiet of his cottage in the woods. Little did he know his peaceful existence was about to be turned upside down. It was a particularly blustery Tuesday when Arthur, armed with his trusty thermos and a copy of The Time Traveller's Wife, decided to take his afternoon tea in his favourite clearing. As he ambled through the woods, a glint of silver caught his eye. Curious, he cautiously approached. There, half hidden by the undergrowth, lay what appeared to be a giant silver disc. It was dented and scratched, with wires and strange glowing lights protruding from its sides. Arthur, being a man of logic and reason, immediately dismissed the idea of it being a UFO. Still, something about it drew him closer. As he circled the strange object, he noticed a figure lying near its base. It was a young woman dressed in a strange, shimmering jumpsuit. She was unconscious, her breathing shallow. Arthur, ever the Good Samaritan, rushed to her side. "Good heavens, are you all right?" he asked. With that, he gathered her in his arms and carried her back towards his cottage. Back at the cottage, Arthur gently laid Zilpha on his sofa. He grabbed a blanket and draped it over her. Her skin had a faint, bluish tinge, and her eyes seemed to sparkle with an otherworldly light. Must be the concussion, he thought. He went to the kitchen and returned with a steaming mug of tea. "There you go," he said, propping her head up and holding the mug to her lips. Zilpha, still weak and disoriented, took a tentative sip. The warm liquid seemed to revive her. Who are you?" she asked, her voice a mere whisper. "Arthur," he replied with a kind smile. "And you are—" "Zilpha," she whispered, "and I seem to have had a bit of an accident." Arthur chuckled. "That's an understatement if I've ever heard one. Don't worry. You're safe now. Just rest." Over the next few days, Arthur tended to Zilpha's injuries. He treated her wounds, made her soup, and kept her company. She told him she was a traveller, which wasn't entirely a lie. She just conveniently left out the part about being from another galaxy. Arthur, ever the gentleman, didn't pry. He had a feeling there was more to Zilpha than met the eye, but he respected her privacy. Besides, he rather enjoyed her company. She had a sharp wit, a contagious laugh, and a knack for telling fascinating stories about the places she'd been. As the days turned into weeks, Zilpha's strength returned. She spent her time exploring the woods surrounding Arthur's cottage. She was particularly fond of the squirrels. Arthur, sipping his tea, would just chuckle and shake his head. He was growing rather fond of this strange, enchanting woman. He looked forward to their evening chats by the fireplace. One evening, Zilpha turned to Arthur, her expression serious. Arthur, sensing her unease, placed a reassuring hand on hers. Zilpha took a deep breath. "Remember when I said I was a traveller?" Arthur nodded, his brow furrowed in concern. "Well, I may have omitted a few details. I'm not exactly from around here." Zilpha laughed nervously. "I'm from another planet." Arthur stared at her, his mouth agape. And yet, looking into Zilpha's sincere eyes, he couldn't help but believe her. "Another planet?" Arthur finally managed, his voice a mixture of disbelief and awe. Zilpha nodded, her expression sheepish. "I'm from a planet called Xylos, in the Andromeda Galaxy. My ship malfunctioned, and well, here I am." Arthur, being a man of infinite curiosity, asked, "What's it like, your planet?" Zilpha's eyes lit up as she described her home shimmering cities, crystal-clear waterfalls and skies with twin suns. She told him of her people, the Xylosians, known for their intelligence and love of art. Arthur listened, captivated. "I need to get back," Zilpha said, her voice laced with sadness. Arthur's heart sank. "I'll help you," he said, surprising even himself. And so began their adventure. Zilpha managed to contact her people, who were overjoyed to hear she was alive. A rescue ship was dispatched immediately. The Xylosian rescue ship appeared in the sky, a beacon of hope. Zilpha, torn between her home and Arthur, turned to him. "Come with me," she pleaded, her hand outstretched. Arthur, faced with a decision that would change his life forever, didn't hesitate. "To the stars, then," he said, a grin spreading across his face. They boarded the Stardust and blasted off into the great unknown. Their journey through the cosmos was extraordinary. They traversed wormholes, navigated asteroid fields, and had a close encounter with a grumpy space slug that loved Earl Grey teabags. Arthur took to space travel like a duck to water. He even taught the ship's AI, HAL 9000.5, how to make a decent cuppa. Through it all, Arthur and Zilpha's bond grew stronger. They shared laughter, adventure, and the occasional existential crisis. They arrived on Xylos to a hero's welcome. Zilpha's family greeted Arthur with open arms. Their adventures were far from over. Zilpha took Arthur on expeditions to distant planets and uncharted nebulae. As they traveled the cosmos, hand in hand, Arthur and Zilpha's friendship blossomed into something deeper, something more profound. They found solace in each other's company, a shared sense of wonder, a love that transcended planets and galaxies. One starlit night, as they gazed upon the swirling colours of a nebula, Arthur, his heart pounding in his chest, turned to Zilpha. "Zilpha," he began, his voice thick with emotion, He stopped, unsure how to express the feelings that swelled within him. Zilpha, sensing his hesitation, placed a gentle hand on his cheek. "Arthur," she whispered, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I know." And in that moment, under the celestial tapestry of 1,000,000,000 stars, they shared a kiss that spoke of love, of adventure, of a bond that could never be broken. It was a kiss that echoed through the vast emptiness of space, a testament to the extraordinary power of love to bridge even the most impossible of distances. News travels fast, even across galaxies. Word of Zilpha's return and her peculiar earthling companion reached the ears of the Xylosian High Council. They were intrigued, to say the least. An earthling living amongst them? It was unheard of. They summoned Zilpha and Arthur to the capital planet, Xylos Prime, where they were greeted with a mixture of curiosity and cautious optimism. The Xylosian High Council, a group of wise and benevolent beings known for their wisdom and their rather flamboyant headwear, welcomed Arthur with open arms. They were impressed by his intelligence, his humor, and his ability to brew a cup of tea that could rival even the most skilled Xylosian tea master. After much deliberation, the High Council made an unprecedented decision. Arthur was to be granted honorary Xylosian citizenship. Arthur, humbled and honored, accepted their offer with a grateful heart. He had found a home, a family, a place where he truly belonged. Zilpha, overjoyed, took Arthur on a grand tour of the Andromeda Galaxy. They visited planets with singing crystals, moons made of cheese, and even a black hole that doubled as a rather impressive cosmic light show. Arthur, ever the adventurer, embraced it all with open arms. As much as Arthur enjoyed the excitement of their intergalactic life, he couldn't help but miss the simple pleasures of Earth. Zilpha, sensing his longing, suggested they create a little piece of Earth on Xylos, and so, with the help of the Xylosian Terraforming Guild, they transformed a barren stretch of land into a verdant paradise. They planted a garden filled with earth flowers, built a cozy cottage that reminded Arthur of home, and even imported a few squirrels. Their little earth sanctuary became their haven, a place where they could relax, recharge, and enjoy a cup of tea while watching the twin suns set over the Xylosian horizon. Life, however, had one more surprise in store for them. One ordinary morning, as Arthur was tending to his roses, Zilpha rushed into the garden, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Arthur!" she exclaimed, "we're going to be parents!" Arthur, his trowel clattering to the ground, stared at her, his jaw agape. "Parents?" he echoed. Zilpha laughed, a sound filled with joy and anticipation. "Yes, Arthur, parents. We're having a baby." The news, once it sank in, filled Arthur with a joy so profound, so overwhelming that it brought tears to his eyes. He was going to be a father. He, a simple man from a little blue planet, was going to bring a new life into this extraordinary universe. Their child, a beautiful baby girl with Zilpha's eyes and Arthur's mischievous grin, was born under a sky ablaze with 1,000 stars. They named her Nova, a tribute to the celestial event that had brought her parents together. Nova grew up surrounded by love, laughter, and the endless wonders of the cosmos. She had her mother's adventurous spirit, her father's thirst for knowledge, and a knack for brewing a cup of tea that would make even the most discerning connoisseur weep with joy. Arthur and Zilpha, watching their daughter explore the universe they had come to call home, realized that their adventure was just beginning. And it all started with a cup of tea, a crashed spaceship, and a love that knew no bounds.